something happened to him that fundamentally changed him. What was that?
Yeah. So about 10 or 11 years ago, my dad got really, really sick. He had a back surgery and then ended up getting a bleeding ulcer in his
Mm.
stomach. We think it was due to the pain meds. So he ends up going into the ER. He's got this bleeding ulcer in his stomach, but they also find a blood clot in his hip, in his leg. And we were in the hospital and they said, well, we have to save him before we save his leg. So we can't treat the blood clot. We've got to work on this, this bleeding ulcer that's in his stomach. And it took them a long time to get control of this. And so in the process of that, my dad ended up having his right leg amputated.
So here's what we have.
Yeah.
If you have an ulcer, you want to get coagulants in to stop the ulcer.
Yeah.
If you've got a clot, you want to get, whatever the loosening agent is to break the clot up. So they had to make a choice. Is it going to be the ulcer or the clot?
Yep.
To save his life, they went with the ulcer, which means they needed to, did you say amputate?
Yeah, they had to amputate his right leg below the knee.
Okay.
Yep. And so he was in the hospital for 50 days. And
at that time, were you kind of still distant from him, or what was that relationship like?
Yeah, I was still distant from him, but I was a little bit older.
How old were you?
I was 30, late 20s, 30. And so, my stepmom had called and said, we're taking your dad, to the emergency room. He's not
And
doing
at that
good.
time, you're like,
Yeah,
sucks
at first
to be
I
you.
was like, I was
your
like,
life, pal.
Yeah. I was like, well, just keep me updated. Let me know. And we got there and, it got worse and it got worse. And so I had just previously started going to church and I was like, you know what? I think my dad might lose his life going through this. We were really scared he was going to die because it took them 3 separate surgeries to get a hold of this bleeding ulcer. They couldn't stop the bleed. And so at the time I was like, I'm really scared my dad's going to die and he's not going to know Jesus. I had just started going to church. I was like, I want my dad to go to heaven, even though we have this bad relationship. Like I want him to.
Did you go to church when you were a kid?
I did when I was a kid. And then during the, middle part of my life, I didn't. So my parents ended up getting divorced when I was 18, I think. And we just kind of had a bad go with the church at that time. The church was
what judgmental, you think, or what do you think that was about?
Yeah. So they kind of just wrote our family off. It was kind of this strange, like, you shouldn't be divorced. And I'm like, wait a minute, we're going through this hard thing. Aren't you supposed to be here to help? Like, why aren't you helping? And so it just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I'd really struggled with that. And then I had gone through different things in my life and I had started going back to church.